good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Sunday at the Round Table. This week, we're going to be doing something different. We're not coming with a set agenda. We are just going to look at the news because there's so much things happening in the news, and give you our views, and we're going to talk about what's happening in the news, get some feedback from you. I am Nita, the host, alongside Brother Crawford, Brother Lass, and we are waiting for some other folks to join us. But until such time, the show goes on. Yeah, we can't stop it. And I want to apologize to those of you who are tuning just now for this late start. We're having some problem that obviously we need to work out, and by next Sunday we should have it. Be that is me. Brother Lass, how are you doing, brother?
I'm good, Mikey.
Brother,
Of
you're
respect.
good.
Greetings to
Yes,
the audience.
yes, sir. Last week, my brother, quite a lot of activities. We have the government putting on a conference in Kingston, the Diaspora conference. We also have Brother Ratigan and his team putting on a conference, a 5 days or a 6 day conference discussing issue affecting Jamaica. And it was very interesting because we have representative from a wide cross section of the society. We have representative. They have representative from the woman community. We had academics. We have policymakers. We have they had Peter Bunting, and in my view, it was a good conference. Initially, it was a good conference because what they have done is sort of mobilize the community, and there's a discussion now taking place. Should people in the diaspora, should Jamaican in the diaspora enjoy the right to vote? That's one of the conversation that is going on in Jamaica just now. And this is largely because of Mr. Rattigan's effort. I don't know what you think. Were you able to listen to any of the conferences?
No, I this week I didn't have the time to tune in to any other conferences.
Okay. So in
I was
addition to the
only able to
go ahead,
go
brother,
ahead,
go
Mike.
ahead. In addition to the both conference, there were some other things in the news. We see there seemed to be a more active engagement of the Jamaican police. Uh, for this week or for the past 2 weeks, right now it's like a set of wanted man, they eliminate them, which some people say is a good thing, but I'm not sure because the way these shooting happening and people demonstrating, you have to ask yourself some questions. Okay, so the police activity is one thing that we want to explore, but when I sit and look at everything, how the government is operating, or the PMP are move, and what have you, I was talking with a friend of mine, and the friend of mine said the JLP find itself into a lot of trouble, unnecessary trouble, because, as how you put it, it's a party of dunce. I'm not sure if you share that sentiment, Lass. I'm not sure. But the opinion of some is that the JLPs are a bag of food because they do things which surprise folks. For example, when Oles was looking the office, he promised that within 100 days, he will have an impeachment legislation passed. We also hear about right to recall. But now that he's in office and this constitutional reform thing, they removed both items. In the proposal from the CRC, there's nothing about impeachment, there's nothing about recall, and it seems to me that the JLP is either stupid or they're taking the Jamaican people for a ride. Because they made a promise, and so it's now going over 5 years, and nothing happened. So, what is your take, Lass? Is it that the Jamaica
I,
Labour Party take the Jamaican people for fool?
I can understand your brethren when him say the party, the Jamaica Labour Party is a party of dons. I can understand the sentiment, where it's coming from. I personally wouldn't say that they're a party of dons, right? Because they have their share of academics, of lawyers, doctors, whatever. They're intelligent people. I think the problem with the Jamaica Labour Party is that they're a party that I think they're only listening to themselves. And the fact that they're only listening to themselves has created a lot of problems for them. And you mentioned the constitutional reform process. On the constitutional reform, we saw that there are a lot of Jamaicans who were enthusiastic about the idea of constitutional reform and were enthusiastic to put forward proposals as to what they think the constitutional reform process should entail. And I don't know if you remember, and members of the audience remember, that the approach of the Jamaica Labour Party and the approach of one of their representatives on the Constitutional Reform Committee, that is Dr. Nadine Spence.
Yeah.
She came out and responded to the enthusiasm of people putting forward their proposals to, to the Constitutional Reform Committee by saying that the people, Jamaicans, were bullying the Constitutional Reform Committee. So it is clear that the Jamaica Labour Party and their representatives want to hear their own voices. They're not interested in voices of Jamaicans in terms of what Jamaican electorate wants and what are the ideas that ordinary citizens can put forward to make our country better. We saw the same kind of attitude when it came to the director of public prosecution and how they wanted to extend the tenure of the DPP. What they did was that they did not go to the opposition and try to get something done in terms of extending the tenure of the Jamaica of the director of public prosecution. They just listened to themselves. They listened to the members of their caucus, and they decided that, you know what, we have a majority in parliament. So we can do whatever we feel like without being concerned about whether the opposition agree, whether the Jamaican electorate agree. As long as we think it, we can do it. And I think that's what they did. Right?
Hola, music, mute. Ratigan, that's you? Continue, last. Ratigan, mute your mic.
Yeah,
Continue.
we saw the same thing.
Yeah, continue, last.
We saw the same thing with just the other day when the party was responding to the death of the teacher, right, who was kidnapped and murdered. We saw how Daryl Vaz didn't have dialogue with anybody, didn't listen to anybody. They just went into parliament and decided that they would ban all ride sharing app in the country without considering the implications or whether they had all the things in place to make it happen. So I don't think it's a matter of that the JLP is a party of dunce. I think it's a problem with the party that they don't listen to anybody else. They think the party and the party leadership have all the answers to all the problems in Jamaica, and they can rely on themselves without consultation, without anything, any kind of dialogue with anybody.
Ratigan, welcome. Ishmael, welcome, Ratigan.
How you doing?
Ishmael, do you share the view, the sentiment that the JLP is a party of dunce?
No, I don't. I
Okay.
don't. Strong though, but I think they're the ruling party now, and people have particular ways how they decide to rule. Some rule autocratically, some rule, selfishly. Fortunately, we are in a democracy. So if it is that we are displeased with how they are ruling, we have the power to change it. Them being a party, whatever whatever um narrative that they want to hold is really upon themselves, because at the end of the day, um it is rather for them to make their own history, for lack of a better term. And as it stands, they're not writing a pretty good history for themselves, being in government for 8 years, going on 9. So there are many words that I could use to describe them, but I will not be as controversial as Waterhouse Vibes Magma to say that they're the Dunce Party.
Well, that's the sentiment I'm getting from some folks now because of how they operate.
Hmm.
They do stuff. For example, Vaz going into parliament and saying he's going to ban ride share without having a discussion with the people. That's so stupid.
And I'd rather, I'd prefer to say that his, I don't want to use the word handlers, his consultants, are the technocrats within the respective ministry. I'd blame them because they would know the technical nuances of how these law works and how these things are supposed to go. than to allow the man to go in parliament and to make such a brash decision without any due diligence. Yeah, he should in fact take some of the blame, but you know, nevertheless, it's he's the captain of the ship and he should be blamed, but you can't help but look at some of the technocrats within the respective ministries as well.
Ratigan, I know you have a different view. I know you have a different view. I don't know if you share the view that the Jamaica Labour Party is a party of dunce. I'm getting some feedback.
It might load. You probably have to turn it down.
Yeah. Yeah, Ratigan. Go ahead.
You can hear me?
Yeah. Do you share the view that the JLP is a party of dunce?
Well, let me start off by saying good afternoon to my fellow panelists, to you, Mr. Anita, and to the listening audience, the viewing audience. Big up, everybody. I tend to focus on government and I don't focus on party. And so, because the party is a collection of the 49, whatever them are, 48 actually, because the former speaker should resign and has not been replaced. So I just look upon the 17 of them who are run the country and tend to separate the party from the cabinet. So my focus is the cabinet because my goal is to hold government accountable. So if the question is the government a dunce government? The answer is no. The answer is, the next question is the government, is the government a crooked government? The answer is a resounding yes. And there's some left it, because the people who are there, I think it would be a disservice to say that them dunce, because by extension you'd have said the voters them dunce because the voters them voting dunce people. And I don't think Jamaicans by and large are dunce people. I think we are tribal, and so we tend to vote along party lines, as what you call it, legacy voters. So no, I don't think it's a dunce government.
But certainly the move to get into a fight with you, what you call that?
Into a fight with me?
Yeah.
What kind of fight?
Well, the Diaspora conference, the Diaspora
conference.
Them
a fight themselves, man. They can't fight with me, man. They stand predominant, man. You can't fight with people the light years ahead of you. No, you beat up yourself and beat up your gum. Because look, I can read you some reports coming out of that conference, and it's very clear that as we predicted, it was an invest fest. That's what it was. You know what, Michael? Let me just read you something.
Yes, go ahead.
Here we go.
Put it in the record.
Yeah, man. The first one, and these reports are from two people who went to the conference, the business conference in Jamaica. The first person said there will have to be a diaspora rapprochement as the quickly executed divide and rule reaction to the split is dead already. Diaspora is for country and culture, not the government, parties, and their leaders. The diaspora demands accountability and participation. The Montego Bay Conference was a panhandling spectacle. The highlight of every session of it was begging for money. Investments, contrasting with insults. Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahoo Fort, had the gall, the nerve to go there after the beg fest and disrespect legitimacy of the fair exchange proposition. That was one, right? Here's the second one. The second one, I submitted a written article that was supposed to be published in the conferences magazine. I'm not sure what happened to that article. However, writing the article on the title, United for Jamaica's Transformation, Fostering Peace, Productivity, and Youth Empowerment, I quickly realized that peace and productivity didn't go along with each other, as reflected in the title of the conference. Peace is a charitable deed associated with world peace, and productivity is a capitalist effort associated with capitalism, which was clearly broken down by the Prime Minister. However, peace is the pinnacle element to drive productivity, which is why it looks good in the title. To foster peace is a charitable deed and requires a different strategy. Writing this article, it made me learn more about what was really going on. If one could have truly deciphered the title of the conference, then nothing would be a surprise while attending the conference. So, listening to the numerous efforts to invest in Jamaica wasn't a surprise to me. That's what the conference was really about, not about United for Jamaica's transformation. Plus, the title of the conference and the daily agenda did not go together. The Bible shares in Romans uh, chapter 12, verse 2, be ye transformed by the renewing of the mind. The conference's daily agenda was filled with mostly investing opportunities in Jamaica and nothing really about renewing the people's minds in United for Jamaica's transformation. It's a title about renewing, but accompanied by an investing agenda. In essence, the conference accomplished what it set out to accomplish. They just use a catchy title to pull the audience in. The sad part is that it was just the tip of the iceberg. A panelist shared his thoughts with me, and I was shocked to hear his frustrated stance. As a panelist, to me, it would have been great to see some little ordinary people on the panel talking about their daily struggles in Jamaica and their shared ideas of how to make the country better. And not to think that only the upper echelons of people have the means and ideas how to transform the country. I met a group of ghetto youths on the street and just listened to their concerns. I thought they would have been good panelists or performers just to give them hope that they are part of the country's transformation as well. The conference only had high-end speakers and top-notch performers, which is a typical conference. United for Jamaica's transformation should be everyone, not just the elites are top-notch, as united means everyone. Even the little vendors in the marketplace were marginalized. The tour of the high-end dignitaries omitted the little vendors, as the dignitaries just went to see the big-name brand vendors. To me, the best and most authentic presentations I saw were the keynote speaker at the church service and the play Pitchy Patchy. Both presentations emerged ignited and engaged the audience in a surreal look at life as Jamaicans, both the upper echelons and ordinary people. So, I mean, there it is. I mean, I told people that if you're going down there thinking that you're going to be doing this, that no, it's an investment a scheme. It's an investment conference, and it has nothing to do with the small man, with the sufferer. Our conference, which started last week Sunday as theirs, but ended last night, was well received because we talked about topics that they shied away from. You know, we talked about topics like the economy, beach access. Let me just we talked about beach access, education. Then we had a student forum so young people could come and express themselves. We had national security, health, water, agriculture, tourism, constitutional reform, and the economy. These are the things people want to hear about. They don't want to hear about, how you can make money off of the backs of people who are already suffering. So our conference was not just a conference of criticisms. It was an event of critical ideas and solutions. Every single speaker, and we had some top-notch speakers, some experts. Every single speaker identified the problem and provided solutions to the problem. Now, whether or not the government, because we know they were listening, whether or not they'll implement those things remains to be seen. But no, so them can't have no fight with me. You know what I'm saying? When I mouse start run behind a lion, the lion ain't bother look back. The lion just keep going. You know what I mean? I say, because it no worth the effort. So that's how we feel. And the other thing is that them claim that they had trouble because them come out and say we expect 1,000 people, and so they sold that to the vendors, to the people who bought who bought booths and tables to peddle their wares. So those people thought, okay, we have 1,000 people coming down to spend money, A few weeks before the event, they had only like 300 people. Then a few days before, we hear this number of about 800, 700, 800. And then just before the first day of the event, we heard that they had 1,100. They overbooked. They had 1,100. So here is what happened. Them think we are fool. The first day was a week ago, Sunday. So what they did, they got a whole bunch of local people to attend the thing, right? They paid for some of them. That's what we're hearing. That they paid for some of them, and that ministry people and all kind of government people showed up and filled the seats, right? That was the first day. You know what happened the second day? The second day, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, she gave her remarks. She had her little chat, right? The room was empty. Empty, empty, empty. That was Monday. Tuesday, the Prime Minister spoke. The room was filled to capacity. Then bring back the government people and the locals. And so we say, well, on a second, you have to pay money to get access every single day. And you have the minister who's sponsoring this thing, who's spearheading it. She's giving a talk and nobody showed up. So we know that it's not diaspora members they had there. We know that. So that idea about them selling and getting they have to deal with that. By the way, it's coming out of the ministry that they overspent by millions because they said themselves in the newspaper that they were going to sponsor people to come to the event. Imagine that if you are a vendor, right? If you are a partner, platinum partner, and you're planning to sell your wares there, and them tell you we're going to bring 1,000 people, and then they turn around and tell you that, oh, you are going to have to sponsor some of the people to come, or we're going to have to sponsor the people to come, then you have to say to yourself, if we have to pay for them people, then all them will buy our products. I broke pocket people them. Because people them who have money, you not have to pay for them for come. Them come and them do them thing. Just like one lady who started complaining, said the hotel room was too expensive. I'm going to say, lady, you have no business going there if the hotel room is too expensive for you. That wasn't meant for you because people can afford to go to these things. Them don't worry about hotel. You just pay your money and you go and you do your business and that's it. But if you have to fret and worry about the hotel fee, and now you have to say you have to link up with 2 or 3 of your friends and go take a Airbnb, then you don't have the money to go there. That's similar to like going into a Bugatti dealership and then you ask the man what the price of the car. If you have to ask the price of Bugatti, you cannot afford it. It's that simple. People who buy Bugattis, them don't go in, them go in and say, okay, I want this feature, that feature, this feature, and here's the money. But you're not going in and try to negotiate price and things like that. And that's what it's similar to. So them can't fight with me, Nita. Can't fight with me, brother.
Well, glad to know that, but listening to you and reflecting on what you say, see, somehow I feel that this government, they're not dunce, but they take the Jamaican people for fools. They can come and say anything and think that we'll jump at it. You know, first they tell us they have 1,000 people, when in fact less than 1,000 people attend. It's like they're just feeding us lie every goddamn day. You can expect a lie out of the mouth of the Jamaica Labour Party politician. You know, and I think that's why my friend said that they are dunce. Because the thing that
in fact, they said this conference is the most successful ever.
you understand what I'm saying?
That's what they said, Radigan. This
That-
conference.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been reading the the, the evaluations.
Tell
And,
us something more. Tell us
that's-
something more about that.
I think
Tell us
though,
something more.
I think though, I expected them to have a presentation to counter what has been happening over the last couple of months. We couldn't expect that they're going to go into a conference and come back and say that the conference was a failure and that this other conference
Vatican caused it.
existed, and it is because of this conference and this other conference was successful. I did not expect that. So I was not surprised from I started reading the evaluations coming from them. I was very, very skeptical because
we know them. We know
you
them.
see, Mikey, Ratty, I this week I went back and listened to Vegas video on the demonstrations in Washington. And the press, what Vegas was saying, is that the people in the diaspora, especially those who are having the demonstration, are traitors, right? And they mashing up the brand Jamaica, which is exactly what the government is saying. So Vegas was saying it was the mouthpiece for the government. So what they want to present is that here are these people outside our conference who hate Jamaica, who want to mash up Jamaica, who have a different agenda other than progress for Jamaica. What we are doing is successful, and they don't like that and they want to mash it up. So they have to present a very good face in the media, right? And that's what they are doing.
Well,
but
Last, let me tell you how.
Vegas thing, the Vegas thing about traitors. Yeah, go ahead, Ratty.
No, let me just give an example of how, on a certain level, I agree with Nita that they're not duns, but they take people for duns. And that's the purpose. That's one of the purposes of our existence, is to educate people, because we have been miseducated, undereducated, and uneducated for a long, long time, and it's going to take some doing to unlock and open the gate, open the floodgate for people for understanding and wisdom and reasoning, because people's minds are hardened in a certain way. Now, the junior minister in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Minister Terry Long, he was running around earlier this year doing interviews all over the place, telling people that for the first time in 30 years, Jamaica's exports exceeded imports. That is a blatant lie. All he had to do was just call up Statin and look at the numbers. There is a trade deficit of 5 billion with a B US dollars. And this man is running around telling people, some of these people, you're right, Nita, them take off a dunce back, because some of the people jump up and down and cheer, yeah. Nobody stopped to say, let me call Statin, because Statin is the central point for statistics for Jamaica, the country, not the government, but the country of Jamaica, right?
You can't really use Statin as a benchmark anymore, because the recent census was an abject failure. Plus, is PIOJ doing the statistics for the government now?
No. Hold on, let me correct you. What happened with the census was that it wasn't completed. That's what it wasn't like. It wasn't like it was completed and it was wrong. It just wasn't completed, and the money just spent, and people can't account for it, and them couldn't get volunteers and all of that stuff. But here's the thing: everybody uses this when it comes to trade,
right?
Unemployment, right? Them use for them stats, right? And so they are the ones who come up, because they get their stats from customs, because customs, they have the official data for imports, exports, right? And it makes sense. So they're saying that, listen, there is a $5 billion deficit. Make we say them wrong, and it's $2 billion, right? How do you get a
Still a
minister running
deficit.
around telling people this nonsense about for the first time in 30 years, exports exceed imports? It's nonsense.
That
It's
sounds
a
like something
lie.
the agriculture minister say.
Yeah, that is a flat out lie, right? And as for the agriculture minister, I hoping people might watch and make him know say this week is a different week. I'm gonna focus on them because them the fertilizer missing, and up to now them can't give me an account of where all of the shipments. So far I've accounted for there are about 4 shipments that came to Jamaica. I
Talking
can't
about the
find
yam
one of them.
fertilizer thing,
Yeah?
the yam fertilizer thing, or the
No,
yam disease thing.
no. The fertilizer when them get from Morocco after them sell out the people of Western Morocco to I think it was Algeria, one of them countries there. The people have fight for autonomy, and Jamaica since 1976 has always voted in the UN to support them. And in 2016, Jamaica decided that no, we're not supporting them any longer. We're going to side with Morocco. And Morocco said, okay, we'll give Jamaica some technical assistance with agriculture, and then provided fertilizer. And this was when COVID started, and them couldn't get fertilizer. The war started with Ukraine. You know, Ukraine is one of the world's largest supplier of fertilizer. And so them start looking for fertilizer. And then all of a sudden fertilizer start flowing to Jamaica. And we have tracked about 4 shipments. And the 4 shipments, 3 of them we can say 3 of them really landed, and we can track 3 of them. The fourth one is just completely missing, and and of the 3, there's one of them that almost 400,000 pounds of fertilizer missing. They can't account for it. So we're going to spend some time talking to his ministry this week and try and get to the bottom of this. We're not going to there's no 9-day wonder around here. We're going to get back to that. We also going to get to this idea about the Jamaican taxpayers paying 2 DPP salaries, because we asked them, look, the acting DPP, is she acting because the office is vacant based on the court's decision, or is Miss Llewellyn on vacation based on what's coming out put out by the government? And then come with some whole heap of foolishness, because we want the taxpayers and for no say it appears at this point that the government is paying 2 DPP salaries when it should only be paying 1. So we have a lot of things we are work on, Nita. A whole heap of things, man. So the government are done, you know. Them just take we for done.
Them take we for dance. Okay.
Yeah.
Ishmael, you share that view?
I actually do, yeah, I do.
Yeah,
This is why
elaborate.
it's very important for us to be armed with knowledge, because without knowledge, you'll perish. And because of that, um, that is what's happening now. Because some don't know, the minority that knows has to be fighting for the majority that don't know. That's why you have people like Will, yourself, Las, continuously talking on behalf of the voiceless sort of thing, because the voiceless, it's through the lack of knowledge why you have so much misinformation going about. So I agree. It's them take off idiot, man. Them take off idiot, like some simple stuff.
Some
Some
simple
So
stuff.
and
Yeah,
the
some simple things. You see them around with, and them and say, no, that's not how it go. When you know, see, I saw it go.
Exactly.
It can't make sense.
on the point of
Uh,
on the point of the conference,
even and I'm happy you mentioned the conference. Even the conference.
you finish, Ishmael?
I'm wrapping up. How can you, as a government, be having a conference and you are ostracizing a particular substrata of the diaspora? Let's just use that.
Exactly.
How can you? So you see that there is a particular following that has grown um using the virtual space. How in your um large, you know large staunch of knowledge that you say you have, how can you not try to find common ground? Me not feel like you, Mikey. Me not feel like you. But think of it this way. I see that Ishmael Douglas, you know, him a bona fire over here, so, but he's a part of the diaspora. Why is he not a part of my conference? Tell me. Why would I ostracize him, given that he's a member of the diaspora, and it's obvious that he has a voice that people listen to? Why, in my erudite reasoning, would I not invite this man to be either a panelist or either to use his platform at my conference? And then you're gonna tell me, say you have my good best interest at heart? Yo,
Last, you want to say something?
Yeah, very good point, Ishmael. That's the point I wanted to touch on. The fact that the conference that the government had, it didn't it didn't try to find no common ground, as Ishmael put it, with the diaspora. It's it it did not try to seek any kind of resolution. It didn't even point in that direction at any point in time to say, you know what, there's a issue going on with the members of the Jamaican diaspora, and this is a kind of conflict that should not be, and we have to find some means of trying to resolve whatever conflict is happening between the Jamaican government and the diaspora. There was nothing coming out of the government conference to suggest that they want any kind of resolution or they are seeking any kind of meeting point with the diaspora. And I go back to Vegas and the anti diaspora campaign that he was launching. It suggests that their approach is that eventually they can isolate, right, and silence the diaspora that is not buying into the government program, right? And I think that's a fallacy and that's a dangerous road which is going to backfire on them drastically. Because if they think that they can just get somebody like Vegas and one and two people who are pro the government to try and silence what is happening and silence the concerns of the legitimate people in the diaspora, it's not going to work like that. And I think that was a feeling of their conference in nothing coming out with any kind of strategy to have common ground, right? And to move from there and to try to win over the diaspora and work with them for better, because bullhorns, and bullyism is not going to work. And I don't think them get that message. I think that's the strategy that them think is going to win over the diaspora or silence them. I could hear Vegas when him see a car pass, him shout, traitor! Them a traitor to Jamaica. That's not gonna work. right? But it seems like that is the part that the government is on,
I'd love to. I'd love to
right?
ask though.
And
Uh,
as long, if
finish.
they feel that as long as they, yeah, go ahead, Ishmael.
Yes, yeah, I mean, sorry about that, but I'd love to
Ishmael, go
ask:
ahead.
is there, yeah, man, is
Yeah,
there
man.
is there like a terms of reference to who is a traitor? Is there like a job description to how you go about being a traitor? For man just run up and talk about say this man a traitor because of this or this man a traitor because of that. I think what free speech is no longer a thing. So I want to know: is there a so what is
Here, here the pro-
Terms
here's
no?
of reference.
here's the
Yeah,
problem.
man, I'd love to know. I'd love to know.
Here's the
Is there really a terms of reference of being a traitor? Show me
here's the
again the
problem. Here's the
Ratigan, because
problem.
it look like you have it.
No,
Here's the
you know,
problem,
I
Ishmael.
laugh.
Here's the problem. If you notice, it's just about it's just about how they think of the diaspora. Because do you believe do you believe that a demonstration would be taking place in Kingston, Jamaica, or Montego Bay, or St. Elizabeth, Jamaican voicing concerns? Do you think, well, against the government or whatever, do you think Vegas and his friends would go there and call them traitors?
No, why would they?
They wouldn't. It is
Mm.
because it is because it is the diaspora. They believe that the diaspora is a different kind of Jamaican. We don't have the diaspora don't have the legitimacy to have independent views about them own country. Them don't think so. That is the position of the
Mm.
government. So if you as a diaspora have independent ideas, right, about your own country, and you're going to demonstrate for that, you can be called a traitor. While if you're living in Jamaica, if you're living in Jamaica and you share the same views, you're okay. You have legitimate rights to do that. But as a diaspora,
Let me show you
send the
something.
money
Let me show you
come.
something. Let me just show you something. The
I
people who call us treasonous and traitors. I said to them, show me the law, as Ishmael was saying, in terms of reference as to what does that mean. I said, show me the law that I'm breaking. And in fact, don't even show me the law. Lock me up. Just tell the police to lock me up because I'm a traitor. It's nonsense. These people are just it's all sound bites. It means nothing.
you know.
Because it
Mhm.
is the same breath, those same people will tell you that yes, we acknowledge that you do have a right to protest. Yes, we acknowledge that you have a right to free assembly and freedom of speech. So then why is it that if I have the right to assemble and to speak, why is it that when I do that now you tell me that I'm a treasonous? And we know why. No, you mentioned something a while ago, Ishmael, about terms of reference as to traitors. Take a look at this. Let me see if you can see.
I'm seeing it now.
Oh, you can't. Oh
Governance
no,
structure, governance
no.
structure.
Okay, all right, let me read it to you. It says the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council will be led and supported by four individuals. The chair of the organization will be the minister in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade responsible for diaspora affairs. That is Minister Terry Long. A vice chair will be a diaspora member. And then the other two people are from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. That to me, that if they're talking about being a traitor, this is where people sold out the diaspora. How can you have a diaspora organization run by three of the four people come from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade? That's nonsense. And as far as and then the other thing is, yeah, with last was talking about the ability or the willingness to talk to engage diaspora members, right? No, I personally reached out to a member of the government, a government official, and I said to him, because there were articles written saying that, look, we're all one, we need to get together and straighten this thing out. And I reached out to that person, and the person said, fine, we had a discussion. And I said, look, the discussion was about having a meeting. And I said to the person, I have no objections to having a meeting, but there are 3 housekeeping rules. One is we're not going to stop what we're doing and while we're waiting for you to come back to tell us if we're going to meet. 2, if we do meet, we meet as equals. We're not subordinates. And the third thing is that under no conditions will we agree to a government-run influence organization called the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. We have to run that ourselves. I'm still waiting for that for that person to come back to me, right? Then it was reported in the Gleaner that we had meetings with them and everything was great. We never had a meeting. What we had was a telephone call to set up a meeting, and we were waiting for them to come back, and we're still waiting and they haven't come back. But here's what happened 2 days ago. I'll read it to you. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I'll read it to you. It says, Foreign Affairs Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith says the Holness government has no intention at this time to engage the breakaway faction of the Jamaican diaspora. So
I saw that.
So we went now from being creators, marginalized group, to now we're called the breakaway faction, right? Here's what happened. They said that we're a breakaway faction and that they represent the wider diaspora. Yet when we had the protest in Miami, they were a no-show. Nobody showed up for them. Then we had the one in Miami, 10 people showed up. Then we had the one a week ago in DC, 8 people showed up. And we had over 300 plus in New York. We had over 120 in DC. We had about 60 in Miami. So the question then is, how is it that you guys represent the wider diaspora, but you can't seem to get your people out there to launch a counter protest against these guys? Then the thing with Vegas, I'm not sure if you guys know what really happened. He came out and he did some social media thing saying that meet me at the embassy on such and such a date because we're gonna celebrate, we're gonna brand Jamaica, we're gonna protect brand Jamaica. The ambassador and others, they saw it, they heard it, and so they put something out denouncing him and saying, no, we don't have a function on this Saturday at the embassy for brand Jamaica. In fact, the embassy is closed. So anybody telling you that they're having some kind of celebration going on, it's not going to happen. And then they went on to denounce us as well. Then what I'm hearing is that somebody talked to her during the day and said, no, Vegas, they're on our team, you know. You have to support him. So then she came out later on and said, I support. In fact, you can't make this up, you know. This is a comedy of errors. She come out that day.
I read it last week on the program, you know, Ratigan.
You read
remember?
it? Okay.
Yeah, man, I did read it. She made a post.
Yes.
Supporting him as a member of, I don't remember, I don't want to be misquoted. But she was, in essence, she was supporting him against other members of the diaspora that are trying to tarnish Jamaica's name. Especially in our jubilee, not jubilee, in our independence year, something like that. He was saying, but I did read it. I read it here. You remember last?
Yeah, she said.
You remember?
Yeah,
She said.
I remember.
Yeah, she said it's a well-known.
Yeah, man,
it is well known that there's a small
Yeah, man,
group
I did.
posturing as patriotic Jamaicans who are also utilizing the brand Jamaica name, and it's a joke. It's a joke. And then she said that she was urging everybody to go out and support Vegas. So when you look at it,
So everybody was 8 people.
There you go. There you go. So we say, look, Vegas is an international reggae star, so him have him crowd, and she's the ambassador from Jamaica to the US, so she have our crowd, and the both of them combine and say, yes, we're gonna do this thing. Vegas said, I'm gonna do it. She said to her people, support Vegas, and they only managed to get 8 people out there. What a shame. So I'm saying, if this is any reflection or an assessment of how effective she is in terms of garnering support in the diaspora, this is a failing effort. It is a failing effort. It better she did use the guy down, the CG down in Miami. Mayor. Everybody loves that guy. Everybody loves him, right? Better she did use him than go and do this herself. But I tell you what, Nita, I tell you what, they claim at one point that we only had 60 people in New York. And I'm calling for 600 people to show up in New York in August, the end of August. We're going there Labor Day weekend. We're going right back where we protested in New York in front of the consulate. And it is gonna be a sight to behold. It is going to be a sight to behold. Somebody wrote me last night and said, no man, a toast now we are come out there. Toast now we are gonna come. Because a holiday weekend, I will go and make it so that people can go work half day and come. Because we're going to move the hours up. So even if you want to come for the full day, you have enough time to get up and make your breakfast and take care of children and even bring your kids because school out. So you can bring them come. So it's gonna be something else, man. You watch, just watch.
You
Just
know,
watch.
I have a next
Gentlemen,
question. Go
well,
ahead.
well,
Go ahead.
well, gentlemen, I think you guys touch on something that affect Jamaica for a number of years. It's a style of governance, a style of leadership where anything the politicians say that is law. We must follow what they say, follow what they do, and we should not have a mind of our own. I say they take us for fools because if you look at Reason with Ratigan, that show, every Saturday you see that over 1,000 people tune into Ratigan. Every Saturday. Now, with that level of support, why you want to take on someone around the diaspora, whether they're part of the diaspora or not? It's stupid. This is a man with a platform with over 1,000 people and listen. Then it only makes sense that you want to sit down and talk to this person and say, listen, how can we work together? But no, that's not what they're trying to do. They want to tell us how we must think, how we must hack, right? And when we refuse to do what they want us to do, they call us traitors. That
Maybe
is the line of reasoning. Demonization if you don't support what they are doing.
I
Go
think
ahead.
I think maybe the issue that they're having, and I don't want to say there because I'm in the country. I think the issue that the government is having with the diaspora is maybe the government don't understand what it truly means to be a member of the diaspora versus to be a member of native Jamaica. If you are on the island, you are a native citizen. And if you are outside of the country, you're a diaspora. Now, so I go, Ratigan, correct me if I'm wrong.
If you're outside of the citizen,
If you're
if you're
outside the
outside the
country, you're
country.
a diasporan.
Yes.
Right. So maybe it is that they don't truly understand what it is to me to be a diaspora. And if it is that you're earning and you live outside the country, you are in fact a Jamaican, but you have to be a diasporan because you don't reside in the country right now. So maybe I think that is the misconception they're having. What I urge the government to do though is for them to understand that being a diasporan doesn't mean that you're against the country. It cannot mean that because you are, in fact, a patriot for your own country. And I will also urge them to really sit and understand what it means to be a patriot first, and then what it is to be a member of the diaspora. Because it can't be that you're a government member and you're trying to rule people miles away from the island. It don't make sense. They're not kids. They're not. They're not children. And if it is that they want to be
Uh,
um, 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 members, giving
if
members to our society, allow them the space to do that, and don't you know give them stipulations to say don't say that or speak this way. No, this is not basic school or primary school. Give the people the autonomy to operate. And I realized, this is in fact the MO of this administration. If you look in Ratigan, Mikey, and Uncle Las, if you look at the OPM, most of the agencies operate from out of the office. You know what they call OPM? You know what they call OPM now? They
Office
call
of
OPM the super ministry.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they call it, the super ministry. You know why they call it that? Because everything up there.
Yeah, you have
Everything up
19.
there.
Yeah, you have 19 agencies underneath that. 19 agencies. They just sent me something a
Yeah.
while ago. That show me the chart and
Yeah.
everything.
So your prime minister is in fact the minister of most of these ministries, and he has give me the name for the deputy ministers, them, Sir Rattigan. I don't remember the name of them. State ministers. So he has 19 state ministers. You never know that, Mikey? You never know that. So,
I didn't know that. I
yeah,
didn't know.
man. So that's how they operate. And I realize that's how they operate everywhere they go. It cannot be that I give you an example. The other day we had an earthquake, and a matter of fact, we had the starting of the hurricane season.
Yeah.
It was an issue just for the CEO of ODPEM to go on the media. He had to consult with the Prime Minister first. That cannot be. That is supposed to be an agency independent of the office of the Prime Minister. Your job is to give information to him if needs be. Why am I need to consult with you? It cannot make sense.
It's the undemocratic nature of this government.
It cannot make sense.
Very, very
So-
undemocratic.
So one day I heard Uncle Rat say it, one day he said maybe the issue is the Prime Minister is overworked. That's why so much things is falling by the wayside. Because you cannot, you really cannot monitor so much things at the same time. You can't do it. It's You're not a robot, sir. Cut yourself some slack. You're not. Okay. I'm done.
But while we say all of that, this
Part of the
doesn't.
problem too, is if you look at the conference, the approach of the conference is no different from the approach Jamaica have to remittance and the diaspora. Send your money come, whether you want to invest it or you want to send it to your family. We're comfortable with that, but we don't want you to say nothing. We don't want you to have no business in the running of the country. We don't want you to have no views. We want your money. If you're going to invest it and shut up your mouth. Go back where you come, where you reside, and make we do what we are do. If you want to send the remittance, but that is the approach.
That is so short-sighted.
As Ishmael is saying, you have a government, and the history show the government only listen to themselves. That is the DUNCE policy where them have. Them only listen to themselves. Them only listen to themselves when them are extend the DPP tenure. Them only listen to themselves when VAS come out and banner share. Yeah. When Warmington say no PNP councillor now go get nothing under theme hand. Is when them are listen them is when them talking to themselves. That is the things them talk about. Because it's only their views mean anything to them, and the views amongst them. That's how it come across.
Let me give an example of how them really take us for idiots. When they were in the opposition, they made pledges to the diaspora that, listen, we believe that you should vote. You should be involved in external vote from overseas. And we believe that you should have a place in the parliament, preferably in the Senate. They said that back in 2015, even before, when they were in the opposition. When they became government in February of 2016, shortly thereafter, they said, yes, we have the articles here and we have the recordings. The prime minister said, yeah, the diaspora should be able to vote. In fact, he went a step further and said it should be constituent voting, where all 3 million of us, or whatever the number is, living outside the country would vote in one constituency. I would say this is foolishness, because him say him don't want to give you an unfair advantage of determining the government, right? So they would have a one constituency and say everybody from overseas on have a vote right here, and they can't vote anywhere else. When in truth and in fact, it should be your last known address. That's where that's the constituency you should vote from. So they've been saying this all along, right? You're going to be able to vote and you're going to be able to take a place in parliament. No, we just see where 2 days ago, Minister Malahoo Ford come out and said that, no, if you want to be a part of the Jamaican legislature, then you must live in Jamaica. You can't live abroad and claim that you're part of the legislature. That's not what they've been saying since prior to 2016, And then all of a sudden, and she said it during the Diaspora conference, and it pissed off a lot of people, because people were saying that's not what we were promised. But this is how they operate. They take us for idiots, as if they think that we're going to forget that was the promise. That wasn't the promise. That's what they're trying to make people think, that no, we're just making a statement. No, they promised that you would be able to have your representatives from overseas sit in the parliament. So what they're saying now is, no, you can have a representative, but that representative have to be living in Jamaica. You can't have a representative who live overseas and decide that for whatever reason I'm coming to, you have the election and say we're going to have Rattigan represent us. And then Rattigan said, okay, fine, I'll go to Jamaica now and take my seat in the Senate. They said, no. You have to live here. And guess what? In order to establish residence in Jamaica, you have to live at Jamaica for more than 6 months if you're born Jamaican. And people, that's why we say we have to educate our people about them things. Because what that means is that if them have an election and Rattigan is elected, me can't take a seat there. Me have to go Jamaica now and live in a Jamaica for 6 months before me can say, okay, no, me can't take the seat. And God knows what kind of rules I'm going to come with between now and then. To say that, if you come here and you have to live for 6 months, they might even move the rule, change the rule and say, you can't be here for 6 months. You must be here for 2 years before you can sit in a parliament. But we're not stupid.
Here's another example. Here's another example of hey, this government really take a feed for you, if it is that you have a agency called Hard Trust NSTA, where do you think that agency should fall?
Under the housing.
That's a social service.
No, right. So Hard Trust is Hard Trust NTA. That is the
part of Ministry of Education.
Right. So it's the agency that deals with back to school, training and stuff like that. In relation to people maybe drop out or people wanting to further their education, whatever the case is. Where do you think that minister should fall?
It's under the minister, office of the prime minister.
Okay, why not under the Ministry of Education?
We need to ask them that and ask the Minister of Education why isn't she lobbying for to come under her ministry?
If it is that you have a ministry, if it is that you have a agency called National Housing Trust, where do you think that agency should fall?
Housing.
Our agency will deal with housing.
Right.
All right. Wait there.
Prime Minister.
Okay. If it is that you have, and I will let them know. If it is that you have,
hold on, let me give you one, Ishmael. Let me give you one. NEPA will give you permits, right, along with KCMC for building, right? And guess what happened? The Prime Minister's wife, who's Speaker of the House, she get permits from NEPA And
Where
up in
is
Lee's
that?
flat, we did a program where we show that she in a Jamaica you can only use basement for storage and entertainment. And she built on the hillside. She built two floors on the ground, right? And call them apartments without balcony. And you're only supposed to build 2 levels. She gone 3 levels now. And she only was supposed to get
Is that
70
the court
houses on that
case?
piece. That's a court
Is that
case with Miss Ashley. Yeah. And she's supposed to get 7. I have all of the paperwork. And she was only supposed to get 70 houses built, 70 rooms built there. Somehow she got 90, and we don't see the paperwork for the variance that grant her this extension for
96.
90. But no, she gone over 120. And if you look at the chart, there is a building that hasn't been built yet. So it going to be more than that. Then she want to build the road upon the woman, take over the woman veranda. And
That's in the
NEPA is the one
court. That's in
responsible
the courts right
for some
now
of
with
this.
she
Some of
and
this. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
then put it off till October
And
or
and
some.
yeah, in October, right? And
October.
this is
Yeah.
why advocacy is extremely important, because if it not were for advocacy, regular people would not know this critical information. They would
True.
not. The other day, me see, and it's heartbreaking, The other day, me see rain a fall hard, and me see some young people go up and take to the internet and a ball for bridge from the Prime Minister. Up until this day, I don't see him even saying him a go look what the Tri bridge issue. I don't know if you know about the Tri bridge. So there's a bridge, there's a gully, big gully in Trelawney, and is the only way for leave the Troy community is through that bridge.
Yeah.
So they had
Oh
to
yeah,
build
yeah. No, about it.
they had to build like some little things for
Yeah. Yeah.
system them, and every time rain fall it pop with them have to build it again. And if rain start fall now, them have to wait maybe hours or days just for pass the bridge. And and kids, children are ball feet. Children, and up to now I don't hear nothing. But you have
School. About
trolls
school.
and paid mouthpieces are coming at chattings with people about stupid arguments about man visa or man citizenship, and about people where talk in relation to the diaspora about issues that are affecting us, and they have people that come and chat off their mouth about who wanna traitor. Yo, it upset me, man. It upset me, I tell you.
Let me take this discussion to another level. Someone hearing, listening to this broadcast, they would say, but the PMP is no different. And they would say PMP is no different because take for example the Constitutional Reform Committee. The impeachment clause was removed, the recall clause was removed, and we only learn of that when the minister made a presentation to Parliament. The People's National Party sit on that committee, and they said nothing about those two stuff, the removal of the recall and the impeachment. What is the difference there between them and the JLP when it comes to governance, leadership? What's the
Well,
difference there?
well, as far as that particular issue is concerned, let me push back on that. The opposition party did put out a press release, and they listed a number of items that they were dissatisfied about concerning the constitutional reform, and they did come out and talk about it, and they did not sign it. They did not sign it. If you look at the back page of it, you'll see that there are 3 signatures not there. Hugh Small,
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Hilton, and the
Natalie
lady.
Nita.
Uh,
Nita.
no, it's not
What's her
Nita.
name?
Nita Gardner.
Motley.
Mockley.
Motley.
Yeah, those are the 3 people. Yeah, those are the 3 people who were nominated and appointed by the opposition, and none of them signed it. So they did come out and speak and speak about that. But on a broader level now, when they say it's the same, I don't know if it sounds to me like it's a false equivalency, because here's why. I've never voted. I don't care about politics and politicians. I care about people. But to be frank and to be honest and to be balanced about it, the opposition that you're looking at now is not the opposition that existed 8 years ago. And people make the argument that, listen, whatever you think about Mark Golan, he's never been prime minister. So there's no record there that you can say, well, when he was there the last time, this is what happened. So you can't really compare him to anything that's going on now. And people make the argument that, look, like a friend of mine said to me, listen, I think both of them are evil, but there's some evil there's some evil that we have to live with as a society. And him said, I would rather live with the evil of a Mark Golan-led government than live with this evil that we know about and we see it and we experience it every single day. Him said, at least with a Mark Golan government, maybe, there'll be some overtures made and maybe there'll be some changes. We really don't know. But we know about this one right here, right now. And him said, boy, this is just pure hardship. So I would reserve opinion about saying that, well, them not going to do nothing. Or I guess you'd have to say they won't do anything, because it's hard to make a comparison. Because if you look at the opposition, the composition of the opposition 8 years ago or 9 years ago, and you look at it now, quite different. Quite different.
Last, what is your take?
Here's my take on the PNP involvement with the constitutional thing. I am disappointed with the PNP in this respect. From early in the reform process, we saw that the JLP was reluctant to take the views and suggestions of the ordinary citizens, because a lot of people were very enthusiastic at the beginning of the constitutional reform process and were voicing all kind of suggestions and recommendations. And we saw very early that the JLP was reluctant to take those recommendations into consideration. As a matter of fact, Dr. Nadine Spence, as I mentioned before, who is one of the JLP representatives on the reform, saw the people offering recommendations. She called it bullying, right? She said that there were people bullying the Constitutional Reform Committee, right? Just because people were voicing recommendations that they had no intention of including, right? So I believe that from early, when these resistance, right, to real reform of the Constitution were evident inside the committee, I believe the PNP representatives should have been more vocal and more active in coming outside, right, and trying to organize people to pressure for more involvement of the people, right, from that stage, instead of waiting until when the process is done, you're not signing it. I believe there was an opportunity for people to see the PNP struggling to get them involved, and the PNP lost that opportunity. That is where my disappointment is with the PNP on the constitutional reform issue.
Ishmael, I know you have something different.
Yeah, I have to, because the truth is,
Yeah.
it was it's I understand where Uncle Las is coming from, yes. On the other hand, I must say that the two members from the opposition side were in fact lobbying for more consultations to be held. And this, you can see that in the document, they had asked for more greater participation amongst particular groups, young people, the minority groups such as the blind. I don't want to use that word, but the blind, the deaf community. The opposition was in fact lobbying for those groups to be included and for more town halls to be had. However, the the minister continuously said that they were working with a regime, and it was in fact set. So, and this is what happens when you have majority within any committee. You know, you just vote on the majority, and then that's what happens, because it's just really two. And then there is this other member of the committee that is not necessarily, that wasn't chosen by the government. However, it was since the inception, man. It was in fact said that the more consultations need to be held. The issue is that little to no consultation. I think it's just three I've seen, or two, and they decide to use that, and not go with every single recommendation from those town halls and consultation. Part of the reason why we have such a short document being tabled in Parliament, I'm not sure if for some people, but I have a little bit of legal experience. I'm not a lawyer. But I have some legal experience, and a constitutional document shouldn't be little less than 100 pages. It should be longer than that. That's what I say to that. And most of the things that I realize coming from that process is that they want to make entrenched issues acts of parliament. And I think that's a dangerous thing to do. Dangerous thing to do.
Why?
Because there are some things that must be constitutional issues. Because if they are acts of parliament, it means that it can change tomorrow, or it can be amended tomorrow. Something such as land reform, something such as citizenship issues should be entrenched in the constitution. So is either you are in fact a citizen, or you're not a citizen. That should be a part of the constitutional, an entrenched part of the constitution, so that if Ishmael Douglas rise up tomorrow, Ishmael Douglas can say, all right, me not like this. The one Uncle Ratty, I go come rise up and come lick me out of power. So me change this. I may have enough people, so me change this. Can't be. So some of these things has to be so that it's inchangeable, unless there is an issue. The impeachment proceedings should be entrenched. It shouldn't be an act of parliament. And that was the recommendation. That was the recommendation. So some of these things has to be a part of the conversation going forward, to say that these things are unmovable versus these things that we can tinker with. Most of the hard questions will be amended in Parliament.
Let me ask you this. Rattigan organized a conference when he saw what was happening. Okay? He saw the direction the wind was blowing with regards to diaspora, and he organized a conference.
Mm-hmm.
The PMP, why can't the PMP organize meetings around the island and bring in the people on board behind this constitution? Why can't they go out? Because, Mark, as a progressive organization, they should be putting forward ideas to the community.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not seeing no mobilization taking place. So what's going on? What is preventing the PNP? They have more resource than Ratigan. You know, and Ratigan was here before I organized the conference. So what really are going on? Is there some resistance in the People's National Party when it comes to
Uncle
this
Mike, I can't speak for the
democratic
party
process?
in that
No,
regard, you know.
no,
But I can tell you,
yeah, I know you're close to a couple of them.
you see, you find me out.
No, I'm not
Um,
fighting you.
well, what I can tell you is that the opposition have been on the road every day in that regard, speaking up about this issue. And if it is that it gets too much, then they'll hold small bouts of protests or um or have a media mingle sort of thing to address the issue. That
So
that
the PMP is on the ground. They're out in the communities.
they are in fact on the ground in relation to most of these issues. But
Okay.
the
But
issue we're
this, but
facing though, is that media is not as virtuous as we would like them to be. So it's clickbaits that makes the news, not important issues.
Okay.
So as it stands, the topic of constitutional reform is not a clickbait. It isn't, and we have to be honest. It is very important to us, but it's not important to everyone. I wonder if you
It's
understand
not.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yes,
no,
I
it's not.
understand.
Yeah, man, it's not important to everybody because the truth is on the ground. People, it's 4:38 now in Jamaica, and people still I wonder where they're gonna get food to eat because it's that hard. We're not worried about who I go worry about being the prime minister. It's in our mind, but we're gonna think about it thoroughly after we don't eat or after we find something to eat because we're broke. Because tomorrow morning we have to get up and we have to go to work, or we don't have no money to go work. These are the realities, so we can't. So it's really a balancing act, to be honest with you. So when we see news, it has to be with what is absolutely important now. And what is important now is the fact, say, 13 man up the road just dead, or the fact that the health situation will be um, um, important to us now because a lot of health issues are happening now, and the fact that the baby died for lack of ventilators. So that will be a clickbait no, because people have to use the health services and it's woefully inadequate. So that will be something no. But as it stands, the truth is until we eat, we look upon them things there, and it's the truth. Me not even eat yet.
You know,
but
you know what,
Ratigan.
but
Ishmael?
Ishmael,
No, Ishmael.
Ishmael, here the problem. Here the problem, Ishmael. If the PNP, you see what you just raised, say okay, they're gonna take to the road and they're gonna have these things happening. Why wait until the process end to take on this thing? Why didn't the PNP try to engage the people while the process is taking place so the people can pressure the process onto a certain part?
Sir Lass.
Why do it at the end? Why take that approach at the end? Because the thing what we want to know is that the
Mm-hmm,
constitutional reform process to be pushed on a certain
mm-hmm.
in a certain direction. But no, when the process done, you go out there and try push, but it go seem like where you try push is just about election and not about the process of constitutional reform itself.
All right. So Sir Lass, again, and I see people saying it
That's
in the
my
comments.
concern.
Okay. Again, I'll reiterate. I don't speak for the People's National Party. I don't. However, what I can tell you is that I'm on the ground and I see the orange shirts and I see the powers that be within both parties on the ground speaking to the people. I see these things with my own eyes. And what I can tell you, Uncle Lass, what I can tell you, Mike, and what I can tell you, Sir Rattigan, I can tell you that majority of the country don't even understand what it is that we're doing in relation to constitutional reform. So you cannot give off something that you know not of, because most of the people, I'm telling you, they don't know what is happening. It became an issue when there was a media blitz with the government about the opposition leader having dual citizenship. That is how people really started to participate. And if they want somebody to be a dual citizen, hold the highest office in their land, that is how it really became an issue.
Let me just say that
Yeah.
let me just say that whatever the government desires to do, it's doing. And it's patently observable why they're doing certain things. Whatever the PNP does or doesn't do, those are reasons best known to them. I don't pretend to speak for any of them. I do speak on behalf of the people of Jamaica, the sufferers. That's what I talk about. And I've made a statement, and I've yet to be challenged on it. I said, if you have 7 million Jamaicans globally, I am willing to bet that 6 million of them have never read the Constitution. And of the 1 million who have read the Constitution, I'm willing to bet that a lot of them don't understand it, right? So there is a problem of education there, regardless of your party affiliation. And so that's where I see a space for me to come in and try to educate people, regardless of your party affiliation, your religious affiliation, your social attraction. It doesn't matter to me, right? My job is to make sure that this document that will define who we are as a people and provide a roadmap to democratic success, that we know what it is that we're doing. Now, having said that, here's my plea and here's my pitch. The Constitutional Reform Committee, they had four, let me see, 2, 3, 4. I think they had 5 town hall meetings. I think they had 5 town hall meetings, right? I think they had St. Elizabeth, Portland, St. James, I think Hanover, Westmoreland, I believe. We have 14 parishes. We had 5 town hall meetings, one in each of 5 parishes. You mean to tell me now that the other parishes, they understand this, they understand what's going on, so we don't need to educate them? Is that it? That's not it. If you're going to do this thing properly, you need to educate all of the people in Jamaica. Give everyone in a parish a chance to come and listen and share. You can't do it in 5. You leave out 9 parishes. You can't do it. That's not educating the people. Mm-hmm. Another thing is that it wasn't so long ago that that the Prime Minister said, listen, within the first 100 days of my administration, we're going to submit legislation for
impeachment,
legislation for term of office for the office of the Prime Minister, and also impeachment and all of these things. Didn't do it. And now they come and they have a chance now to put it in the Constitution, and they say, we're not putting it in there. So it tells you how disingenuous these folks are. And that's my message to the people of Jamaica, that for far too long we've been taken for idiots and fools. I don't care who you vote for, but what I want to do is to point these things out to you and say, I want to make you an informed citizen. Whoever you vote for, that's your business. That's between you, your candidate, and your God. That's
It,
not my business. My business is to make sure that you're armed with the facts, because I'm telling you, gentlemen, I cannot begin to tell you the number of people who reach out to me week after week after week and say, listen, thank God for you and Waterhouse Vibes and Lonesome and Mystic Sensation and Tavares and Andre Stevens and all the others. Because heretofore we didn't know some of these things going on in Jamaica. And had it not been for social media, we wouldn't know. So then my question to them is, well, now that you know what to do, right?
exactly.
So I can't tell, I cannot, and I will never tell anybody who to vote for. All I can tell you is that here are the facts. You deal with them how you see fit. If you think that an MP is bad for you, then you know what to do. If you think that an MP is pushing your issue that will impact your family in a positive way, your family, your community, and by extension Jamaica, then you know what to do. You know what to do, but you really don't know what to do if you're not armed with the facts. So that's my job,
Here is
presenting facts to people.
here is another fact, Sir Lass and everyone else, Mikey and everyone else. Um, Besides the political organizations, be it the government and the opposition, there are also other facets of the society that are represented on the constitutional reform. One of that is the Churches Organization of Jamaica. I cannot tell you one meeting that the church has had in relation to the constitutional issue, and they have representatives on the committee. Civil society is also represented on the committee. And I cannot tell you one town hall meeting or one meeting that the civil society organization would have had um, related to constitutional reform. So other facets of society are in fact represented there, but they are not pulling their weight. So I say that because my point is we cannot lay the blame squarely on political affiliations or political organizations and the government.
No,
So that means that some of these people on these particular um, committees are in fact partisan. I'm putting that to you, that maybe because they are partisan, they are not doing their due diligence. Because if it is that the Constitutional Reform Committee is supposed to be made up of particular substratas of society, why is it that the church have time to come on national radio or talk about gender neutral issues um, um, from acts of parliament versus the constitutional issue of the day? Why is it? Why is it that civil society groups, I don't want to call her name, but she says that she represents civil society groups. So why all of a sudden me not see nothing go out, um, um, speaking on behalf of all civil society groups, saying that this is our position? You have particular organizations from civil society making submissions to the committee. You don't have a meeting from the committee. You don't have no submission at all coming from the church. And you're supposed to have one pastor, one whatever they there. It can't make sense. It cannot make sense.
has anybody point this out?
Of course.
And what's the reaction? What's the government reaction to that?
What do you think? What do you
I,
think? All
I'm
right.
just asking now. I'm just asking.
I am going to tell you this, and this was discussed in open media. There was an issue in relation to the particular person that was chosen on behalf of the church's committee. It was alleged that Malahu wanted to use her pastor, and they said that it couldn't work. and they'd used someone else. And civil society is more than one organizations, and they weren't consulted when the person that is in fact a part of the committee that sits on the constitutional reform, they actually don't recognize her as a member of civil society because she's not from an organization.
Where is Carol Narcis in all of this?
No, man, she has been speaking. She has been speaking. So and I will go on record to say this. From the inception, the constitutional reform process is flawed. From its inception. So if the top of the stream bad, you cannot expect to get pure water in the middle or down at the bottom of the stream.
Can you say some more on that? What you mean it's bad from inception?
Yeah, man, from inception, just the makeup of the committee was flawed. Just the makeup and the agenda items were flawed because not every member of society were represented, and not every issue were brought to the fore as it relates to the process. So it has to be flawed. Has to be.
An example. Let me get an example. I'm looking at the document right now, and you know, one of the Jamaica Beach Birthright Environmental Movement, JABEM, they made submissions. Yet when you look at the reform, there's nothing in there talking about the right of Jamaicans to have access to their beaches. Nothing in there at all. And this is an important issue, because this issue cuts across party lines, color lines, social strata line, religious line, every line. As long as you're a Jamaican, this issue affects you, because you know, it's interesting because a week ago when we started our conference, we started out, you know, the very first topic we started out with, beach access, because the government was advertising to their supporters for the conference that come and enjoy the beaches, right? And we started out with beach access to say most Jamaicans living in Jamaica, they don't have access to the beach. They don't. Jamaica have 140 something, I think, miles of coastline. And of that, I think 100 and I forgot what Dr. Devon Taylor mentioned, the stat right now, but it was about 120 something miles of beaches. And of that 120 something miles of beaches, do you know how many how many miles of public beaches? Remember, no, 120 something miles of beaches. Jamaicans, the ordinary Jamaican, has access to only, I think, 2.8 miles. 2.8 miles. So this cuts across every demarcation line you can think of. Us against them, that line they're gone is all of us now. It's not us against them. And here it is that a submission was made to codify, well, not to codify, but to put it in the Constitution, saying, yes, we have a right. And nothing in there. Nothing at all. And you know what? It's funny I came across this because I was actually looking to see the people who signed the document, to see, trying to identify the church people. That's what I was trying to do. And I think, yeah, here we go. It was signed by Minister Malahoo Fort, Ambassador Rocky Mead, Senator Tom Tavares, Dr. Derek McCoy, who is the Attorney General, Senator Ransford Braham, Professor Richard Albert, Lloyd Barnett, Dr. David Henry, Dr. Nadine Spence, Ms. Mattis, Mr. Sujay Boswell, and Dr. McCarthy. The three people who didn't sign, Mr. Hugh Small, Senator Donna Scott Motley, and Mr. Anthony Hilton. So a bunch of issues that should have been in the document, Nita, Lots of issues raised by, and a lot of Jamaicans made submissions. And I mean, I feel proud to say that the first name mentioned for submissions was a gentleman who, actually, his name is not the first one, but his second name mentioned. He came twice during our conference. Dr. Canute Thompson from UA. He made submissions. But a lot of people here, I'm looking at the list, and it's an extensive list of people who made submissions. And you know what? It was just perfunctory, meaning it was just routine, that they say, yeah, send us your submissions, and then take the submissions and then fling it out of the garbage. I'm trying to, because if you look at the document that was produced, and I have the document in front of me right here, the document is fraught with deficiencies. I mean, so many questions and I'm sitting there. It took me an hour. The document is about 90 pages, right? It took me an hour to read the document. The document itself is about 50 pages, and the rest of it is like attachments. And I read the document, and in 1 hour, I came up with I did a program on it. I came up with a whole bunch of issues with it, whole heap of issues. And I said to myself, say, goodness gracious, you have all of these astoundingly successful people, bright like bulb, and yet this is all they could manage to do in over a year. This is with all the money spent. This is all that brain power could manage to do. And then you have one little man, one picky head man who come from nowhere, right? Who come from nowhere. Right?
Easy, you know.
Who for mother tell him, say, listen, man, we sell my draws for keeping at school if you decide to take your studies. One little man with 1 hour can pick this apart. Then me says, this joke, them a joke, man. This is a waste of time. This is a waste of taxpayers, man. Taxpayers, if you not listen to me, the Constitutional Reform Committee just wasted millions of dollars of your hard-earned money and time. And them claim to them are world-renowned experts and this and that and that and that. It's nonsense. Nonsense. So I encourage all of you to go back and look at the program I did on the Constitutional Reform Committee on Reason with Rattigan. And I may even do an update to it next week, this coming Saturday. Because, Nita, I'm telling you, we're not getting value for our money as taxpayers. We're not. The taxpayers are getting, everywhere you turn, Maka joke them. They might get ripped off every single week. Yes. Everywhere you turn. Everywhere you turn. 1.7 trillion unaccounted for. 700 billion unaccounted for. 2 DPP salary. I mean, everywhere you turn. And then
that goes for some of the trolls in the comments too.
Yeah. Then them come and them make a speech like, well, you know, the GDP to debt ratio is down. Jamaica, it's down. It's in the 70s. And what it means is we have more money to spend on you, the people. And I said to people, the ones cheering, I said to them, do you understand what was just said? And do you understand the application to your individual situation? Do you understand that? 99% of them don't understand it. 99, because when them tell you that, and I mentioned it yesterday and the day before, Japan, and I have the stats right here. Japan, you know what Japan GDP to debt ratio is? And by no means would anyone, very few people would say Japan is a failing society economically. In fact, people would say it's an economic power, right? You know what Japan's GDP debt to ratio is? Take a guess, Nita.
160.
More than that. 70. More than that.
Jamaica is 70.
More than that, man. Wally, more than that.
All right, let me take him out of the guessing mode.
Yeah.
It's 262%.
Whoa.
262%. Because they might manage them economy and they might borrow and they might lend, but you know what them do? They might have manufacturing. They might have exports. Jamaica have no exports. So you see, when you have
what that is called? Productivity.
Exactly. When you have pay after that, the way Jamaica said they might pay it off at breakneck pace, but you don't have productivity. You don't have manufacturing. You don't have something to buttress that. What that means is that the small man going to pay a fee. You're going to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze until you can't squeeze no more. So when you hear them say no new taxes, that may very well be true. But there are additional taxes and the existing taxes. Them don't tell you that. The inflation rate just went up. Them don't tell you that. So what your money could have buy last month, it can't buy this month. And what them
Let me
don't
give you
tell
some
you,
facts to back that up. Let me give you some facts to back up what Ratigan is saying. Did you know, and did everybody know, and did the trolls know that $45 billion of the budget is unaccounted for? And every time when a reporter asks the finance minister about it, him either run off the phone or him don't answer. Did you know that? Up until now, 45 billion is still unaccounted for. Of the same.
Why? Why is that?
When I say unaccounted for whatever reason, there is a deficit in the budget of 45 billion. And when you ask him where will the money come from, him can't answer you. So let's say so let's say the budget is 100 billion. Him only tell you about 65 billion. So 45 billion still unaccounted for.
35.
Sorry, 55. 55.
Okay.
Thank you for the math.
Yeah.
55.
Well, let me give another stat. Jamaica has almost 3 million people. The workforce in Jamaica is 1.3 million people. Less than half of the population are working in Jamaica. 1.3 million. 1.2 million of those 1.3 million workers, they're working in unskilled occupation. Meaning, minimum wage, most of them are working on. Here's what happened. I'll give it to you. Service workers, the largest occupation in Jamaica with the greatest number of people, right, is service workers, shop and market sales workers. You know how much that is? That is 308,000 people. I work as clerks, I work as gophers, I sweep up this and I sweep up that. 308,000. Then we have another one called elementary occupations. That's 172,000 people in that.
So tell me, what does that mean? Elementary. I'm not that so smart to know. What does that mean?
Them just list it as elementary. Them no read.
You want me to tell you what it mean? The windshield wiper them. That's it mean.
Then them have one called skilled agriculture and fisheries workers. Even though the agriculture sector has declined by 16, I think 13 or 16,000 people, right?
And the fishermen, them and the people them with on the beach side where skill the fish them attack now, you know.
Them skilled agriculture. You know what you know that? 175,000. Then them have one called construction. When you think about construction, most of it is manual labor. Most of it is not architects, manual labor. That is 133,000. Then they have another one called wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and bikes. That's 243,000. Then they have another one called agriculture, forestry, and fishing, which is separate and apart from skilled agriculture and fisheries. So that is 183,000. When you add up all of that, it comes up to 1.2 million. 1.2 million. I remember the workforce is 1.3 million. So where is nothing in here says manufacturing and exports. Nothing here. Where's the manufacturing? So how, when you tell people about the GDP ratio, how you going to balance that? How are you going to balance that? Because you pay off the debt at breakneck pace, you know. Unlike Barbados, we said, no, we are going to take a longer time to pay off the debt because we're going to take some of that money that we would use to pay off the debt to invest in people and production. That is what Barbados did. Jamaica said, no, we want a smaller time frame to pay off our debt. And guess what Jamaica is doing while they do that? They might borrow
more money.
Pay off the debt. Because they're not producing anything.
You know what is obvious? What is obvious, you know, when you listen to all these facts and what else, it is obvious that we are governed by a bunch of fools who take us for dunce and stupid. You know, it's no serious. You can't say that because, for example, 45%. What is it? $45 million.
Yeah, man. 45 million is it wasn't submitted. So they used that term for it. I don't remember the term.
Let me ask,
Something receivables.
let me ask you
Um,
this. Let me ask you
something
this. Let me,
receivables. Them call it. I don't remember the name
yeah,
of the term
yeah,
they
but let me
use.
ask you this. Let me ask this. Based on what all our Ratigan and all our Ishmael said and last, where is the hope? Is there any hope for the Jamaican people? Where is the hope?
Uh,
Because based on what you say now, we are going straight into a brick wall. You understand me? And probably that's the time Marcus Garvey predict that Jamaican will find themselves. Them not gonna move until them find themselves against the wall. Right? So
No,
my question is, where is the hope for the Jamaican people?
no. Let me take a stab at that. Last week, I think it was the last week, Monday, right? We had on Canoe talking about education, and we folded that into a group discussion with some young students, right? All of them in school, right? And I asked them this question: given all of the problems in Jamaica, because they enumerated a litany of problems, and I said, given all of the problems, the immigration floodgates are open now. There's a plane waiting out there to take you to any country in the world you want to go to. Any country. Answer me. You going or you're not going? And I was very, very pleased with the answer all three of them gave me. You know the answer they gave me, Nita and
mhm.
Ishmael and Lass? They said essentially, things are bad in Jamaica, but we're not quite ready to leave and give up yet. We want to stay and see if we can make a difference. And if we once we get to the point where we realize we can't make a difference, then yes, we will leave. But we're not quite ready to give up. I was very pleased with that answer because going to your question, is there hope? Yes, there is hope. I will never give up on my Jamaican people. Never. And as my mother used to tell me, as long as there is life, as long as there is life, there is hope. Right? As long as you're alive, things are possible. So just keep working at it. It might be long, but it won't be forever. There are things that we can do. There are things that this government can do right now. And that's why I keep preaching that I am not here to change government. I'm not here talking about regime change and move out JLP. No, I'm not here to change government. I'm here for government to change. And if government cannot change, then it's the will of the people that will cause the change, not me. I'm just providing the facts and asking the government to do a course correction to say, listen, you promise all of these things, make them happen. Make them happen. So, to answer your question in one word, yes, I'm hopeful.
Last,
You know, I think we can't give up hope. The fact is, there are lots of young people in the country still who want to participate in the process and create change. We have Ishmael as one of them here, which, that gives us hope. And there are lots of Jamaicans at home and abroad who have not given up on the country, right? And that is where the hope lies, that despite the struggles, despite the frustrations, you have Jamaicans in the diaspora and at home who have not given up and still trying to change minds and still trying to do the hard work of organizing and educating, so that's where my hope is.
Ishmael,
Yeah. All right. So yes, there is in fact hope because we have life. So daunting task, but all mountains are meant to be climbed. Eh? It's just a pity that it had to require this much to get us moving, but better late than never, sort of thing. However, I must say that for this to work, it's very important for us to truly understand where it is that we want to go, and our intentions must be made clear from now. Because the good thing is that never have I ever seen since the last 3 years. So there is, in fact, some good in the COVID pandemic. There is a new subverse of I like to call them heroes for advocacy that has emerged to teach people. Because the truth is, even myself at some point, I was a walking sleeper sort of thing. And because of that, now you have more people being awakened to the fact that, governments and their regimes aren't working how they are supposed to work. So they've been selling us a false narrative for years. So now is the time for us to, to get up. So no more than any government, and I speak, objectively, that any government can come and say to us that I am going to do this and not deliver, or this will happen and not deliver, because now we are armed with the knowledge to toss you aside and give somebody else the mantle that is willing to make the change for us, sort of thing, as Will and Uncle As would have said, sort of thing. So yeah, as it stands, things are daunting. Um, it's unfortunate that the current administration doesn't see things how we want them to, but nevertheless, you guys can be changed, because it's still a democracy. It's not an autocracy. So if you don't want to change, we'll change for you, or we'll change you. So yeah, I second the fact that it can change. However, though, I don't want people to automatically believe that change means that there isn't work to be done, because the minute that the change happens, that is when the real work begins. Because we will have to move away the clutter of misinformation, move away the clutter of, whatever that was, so that we can start the rebuilding process. But let us start the rebuilding process from now by continuing the advocacy in relation to whatever misinformation is out there. And let us continue the advocacy in the right way.
I am hopeful, you see, and I am hopeful that there's some positive things happening. Recently, we saw in the news the General Secretary of the People's National Party won his defamation suit against Karen Cross and some other folks. I am hopeful because of that incident. And I say that because in the past, I know if Karen conduct herself the way she's doing it right now in this period, things would be different for her. She said a bunch of nasty stuff about this gentleman. Nobody assaulted her or anything. The matter went to the court and it's settled. So there's hope there. There's elements within the law society who will stand up for what is right. But I tell you, I don't know what there is for the young people. I really don't know. I haven't heard anything about the young people so far. All I've heard is more imprisonment and detention and what have you. That's all I'm hearing. And that raises a lot of question in my head. Gentlemen, I want to thank you all for a very informative discussion this evening. And I know the listeners will have learned something, and hear the passion in the voice of Mr. Rattigan, who is now sleeping.
No.
Yeah, Mr. Rattigan is a man who burned the candle at both ends, I don't know
No,
if you guys.
May I make notes? The notes may I make?
Okay. That man constantly working on the Jamaica project, So we just see him just observe and listen. Gentlemen, thank you very much for this evening. Listeners, please, I'm asking you to like and share what's happening here. Okay, tell a friend about it. You can join us every Sunday at 4 o'clock at the round table, the Sunday round table. So until then, until next week,
Just
thank you
before you
very
go,
much.
Uncle Mikey,
Go ahead, brother.
yeah, I want to take the time out to thank everyone that decided to use their afternoons to come and to listen to the roundtable at Waterhouse Vibes. I saw at one point is 1,100 people. That is a major milestone for us.
So
Also, right, yeah, man.
you
So
know, the challenge that you gave us now, you need to deliver on that.
yes, I have to, and that's why
The,
I'm
the
pleased.
challenge was 300. We have gone over 1,000. So
Yeah, 3 times it. Yeah, man. So I will get on my end of the bargain, people, because the constitutional reform process is still topical, and it's in fact something that must be discussed. So I will deliver on my side. Thank you. What I'd ask for everyone to do is to just it not take note down, to just leave a like. Just
yeah,
leave a like. That's
yeah,
all.
that's all.
And thank you so much, Ratigan. I don't know if
I,
it's you walk with the people them
No,
at
man.
the
Are you? No, you are last and Mikey.
man.
No, we have nothing to do with it. But come on, later.
not
Nobody know
just
no
that,
So,
but
but
we must remind the listeners to tune into Reason with Rattigan Saturday evening at 3 o'clock.
Thank you,
Don't
sir.
miss
yes,
this show. Don't miss Reason with Rattigan on a Saturday.
yeah,
Thank
man.
you.
And meanwhile, you're cooking your dinner, just take a step over to Waterhouse Vibes as well.
On Sunday.
Yeah,
But
this
Yeah.
is your new Sunday matinee.
yeah, but make it a point of order.
Let me just say one quick thing, Nita, before we
Rattigan,
go.
Reason with Rattigan on Saturday.
Let
Go ahead.
me just say one quick thing. You mentioned the thing about hope. Here is, and you mentioned the young people. Yes, we're hopeful based on what we're hearing from them. But as far as the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation is concerned, hope is found in our ways of addressing the issues with the government. One is through protests, and we've done 3 so far, and we have many more to go. Next month we'll have one in Canada. And by the way, we're coming back to New York. 600 people I expect to see out there. Then we'll be in the UK, and then we'll be in Miami. Background investigations. Our intelligence guru Herb, he's done about 4 deep dives on politicians and civil servants, and at some point in time, he's going to reveal information. You're going to be startled by what you hear from him. Then we do collabs with politicians, where we sit down with them and we talk about the issues affecting Jamaica and how they can help in terms of monitoring funds, dealing with corruption, etc. And the last one, lawsuits, where we sue where necessary. And final comment, and I'm gonna keep saying it everywhere I go. As an organization, as a government, when you're responsible for dealing with the lives of people, if you have 1 year, you plant rice. If you have 10 years, you plant trees. And if you're thinking about generations to come, you plant the seed of education. That's what we're about. Educating the masses.
And on that note, thank you all. And remember to like and share Waterhouse Vibes. See you next Sunday. Bye.
Blessings, blessings.